Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Ganganapate Namaha Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 10th of January 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, Paramatma residing in the heart of every being at all times. With that prarthana, we're continuing to examine the Mandukya Upanishad and the word Aksharam. Aksharam, as we have already stated, it refers to the eternal, imperishable reality that was discovered by the great rishis from ancient times, and in Parampara has that same knowledge and wisdom, and the path of discovery has come even today. In our lives, we are moving through on a day-to-day basis the Jagrat, Swapna, and Shushupti states, avasthas, waking, dream, deep sleep state. We're moving through that. That is our experience. We move through this day in and day out. But in this movement from the waking, dream to deep sleep state, and then waking up again, it is possible to realize the Akshara Brahman. How do we realize that? Well, there are several stages. The first point is to understand clearly that there are 5 major aspects or ways to understand Akshara Brahma. Okay, the first is that it is Nitya. Nitya meaning eternal. Akshara Brahma or Aksharam is beyond time and remains unchanged through creation and dissolution. This is a matter of accepting this fact. It's a matter of belief to begin with, stage 1. Sachin reads this in the Upanishad, in the Gita, in Vachanamrut and other scriptures. I said, okay, there is some imperishable, Nitya, eternal reality. Okay, I believe it. Now what? What's next? Just because I believe it doesn't mean I've discovered it, doesn't mean that I'm in it. I'm still seeing just this changing world. That's all. Right? So there's no actual anubhav of the Atma or the Akshara just by believing that. I can believe it. I can believe that Bhagavan exists. I can believe that Atma exists. I can believe all kinds of things. So what? That doesn't mean anything by itself. That's just a belief only. Belief could be false. It could be true. It could be referring to something false. It could be referring to something true. How do we actually realize the Nitya Akshara Tattva? How is that realized? Well, this is where the various yogas come into the picture. Because if we don't take one of the yoga, which is Jnana Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, or Karma Yoga, or Dhyan Yoga, one of these major yogas, if we don't engage in that, we will not realize the Brahman. There is no way of any kind to realize the Brahman without deliberately, consciously, volitionally, actively following one predominant yoga. And the word yoga, we say yoga, but the word is actually yoga. It is not yoga. That's another mispronunciation. It is yoga. But it's all right. In different parts of the country, in Western world and other places, we say yoga. Okay. It doesn't matter really. But the actual pronunciation is yoga. And the word yoga means to join. Well, what is it that we're joining? We're joining our mind back into the Atma. Well, isn't that already joined? Yes, it is already joined. It is not realized, that's all. So in reality, these yogas are activity to be done, paths to be taken to only realize that which is already there. The Atma is not something that is going to come from outside somewhere. That's who you are. Our essential nature is Brahman, is the Atma, is Akshara, is imperishable. That is what Vedantic teachers have said. All right, they've said that. We feel How could that be? I'm Sachin, I'm this, I'm that, I'm suffering day and suffering and enjoying and doing this and doing that. What do you mean I'm imperishable? What does that possibly mean? अनुभव नहीं है इस बात का. We just have a lot of lip service. मुक्तानंद जी कहते हैं, मुक्तानंद स्वामी ने लिखा है ना, अनुभवी आनंदमा ब्रह्म रसना भोगी रे, जीवन मुक्त जोगिया अंतर arogi re. I mentioned this line before. Antar arogi. Arogi means disease free. Don't have these afflictions inside. And I have to see it myself. There's nobody else who can see my affliction. If Sachin has to see Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Matsar, Asha, Trishna, Irsha, Ahanka, Rag, Dvesh, Maru, Taru, Chal, Kapat, this whole standard list of the doshas, the Shat Ripus and all that. Who is going to see that? Do I expect somebody else on the outside to see this for me and then to remove this? Nobody can remove it from the outside. Even the gurus on the outside are not going to remove this for us. They are going to guide us. They live their life in their own enlightened way. We have to see it ourselves. And that's the most difficult part. Because our tendency, humanity, is to see everybody else's faults. Even on the spiritual path, the tendency is to say, okay, this person is not progressing well. This person is doing this person. We want to see everybody else in this world, what they're doing, why they're doing, where they are. We don't see ourselves. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, we talked about this, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago in detail. Uddareda atmana atmanam natmanam avasaded atmaiva yatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. We are the cause of our own upliftment. We are the cause of our own degradation. And until that vision truly opens, not lip service. Even Sachin is speaking right now. Sachin has to speak through antardrishti, not trying to convince anybody anything. It is just a sharing with friends. That's all. Otherwise, they'll get caught up in saying that I know something, I'm trying to explain something to somebody else. Badi bhule. No real teacher explains anything to anybody. The real teachers are those who are only telling themselves. And if somebody else is benefited by that, they keep in mind the audience. But they cannot, there's no way any teacher like Shankaracharya ji, Ramanujacharya ji, Bhagavan Krishna, they are not going to force us to understand. They are going to encourage us to understand if we want to. If we don't want to, it's okay. They continue doing what we're doing. So it's like this. Those who are serious about realizing the highest of truth, for them, taking a bona fide yogic path is absolutely essential. It is necessary. And this is where we have to see on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. I would even suggest week-to-week basis. Are we progressing from where we were 1 week ago? And what is that progress? That progress is more and more balance inside. More and more stability of the mind and of the senses, more and more ananda, more opening of joy. The doshas, the deficiencies are diminished, reduced, day in and day out. Or are we just spinning in circles? A little bit of progress is made, come back right back down to 0.0 again. A little bit of progress, back down to 0.0 again. Aisa ho raha hai? Or are we actually able to make a one-way progression upward, day by day, all the way into the Brahmic state? We have only two possibilities. Either we'll keep spinning in circles, we meaning all those who are doing sadhana, all those who are trying to realize the highest of truths, or the other possibility is to set the destination and not change the destination. What happens in sadhak's life, we set the destination, give a few hours only, it will change into something else altogether. Aisa hi hota hai. Because we haven't even set the destination properly. But when we set the destination to say there is going to be realization, come what may, आत्मा और परमात्मा का अनुभव होना ही चाहिए, अपरोक्ष अनुभूति, और उस स्थिति में जाना ही है, भगवान को देखना ही है. We want to directly see God. We are asking God to come to us. We want to be liberated from the flux of the sansar. If that kind of intense mumukshutvam, tivra mumukshutvam, if it is there, when it is there, then liberation is not far away. Then something extraordinary happens. पूरा जीवन बदल जाता है. किसी के साथ अहम, ममत्व, राग, द्वेष कुछ भी नहीं रहता. And not only that, इस संसार के साथ कोई आसक्ति नहीं रहती. आसक्ति meaning this sense of deep embedded attachments and fears. We live in the world peacefully, happily, lovingly. It has no consequence. You turn on the CNN and news channels, it has big zero consequence for a true mumukshu. Zero consequence. Think about that. Does it mean you don't care about what's going on in the world? There's nothing new going on in the world. It's been naya kya hai? It's the same trash. It's trash that is recycled. Not even made into something else. It's trash back recycled into trash. That's all. और कुछ है ही नहीं है संसार में. Unfortunately. And then of course, there are many good developments, but those are very few and far in between. वो एक अलग बात है. To really extract out the amrutam and find good things and meaningful. Yeah, we want to do that from the sansar. Sansar is not to be disliked or hated. But most of what people are doing, they're stimulating bondage only. Bandhan, rag, dvesh, conflicts. Turn on any series on Netflix and try to see any series in Netflix, for example, through the lens of Shankaracharya ji. I mentioned it before. What do you see? Rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, the constant relationship issues, constant fighting one versus another. Yahi hai. Aur kya hai isme? Yeah, there might be some documentaries on some higher things, and maybe some spiritual ideas, and even then there's so much conflict and all that stuff. This sansar is a massive, massive, massive bondage. And a true mumukshu sees the bandhan, doesn't dislike anybody, and says, I want nothing to do with this. This same circular pattern, the 8 billion people are trapped in, they are all trapped. Each and every one of them. What to bother with all these people? Try to help them if they can. They want to remain trapped. Let them remain trapped. That's all. That's what Shankaracharya ji and other great sages, they come, they give this wisdom, and they go from here. They don't stay here. Vivekananda Swami only lived into the early 30s. Shankaracharya ji lived only into the early 30s. Naneshwar Maharaj lived only at age 18. They have nothing to do with this sansar. It's a big trash can. That's what it is. Motto kacharano dabbo che a sansar. In Gujarati. A to Z. But we don't realize it. We think there's some amrutam here. We are the amrutam, not this fluctuation of the 3 gunas of Maya. किसको ज्ञान है इसका? ऐसे ही लोग मर जाते. Then life, then again rebirth, again rebirth, again rebirth. God, where does it end? It doesn't end. You can wind up in any species. And sometimes you do a lot of good work, पुण्यम हो करते, स्वर्ग में जाते. वहां से भी पढ़ना है. Shinya punya mrutte loke vishanti. And everything Sachin is saying is not making it up, telling myself only. And this is in all the scriptures. बाकी ये संसार में नया क्या है? It's taking, sometimes we find it remarkable. भगवान की जो माला है ना, this माला, भगवत नाम, भगवान के शास्त्र, बड़े बड़े संतों का संग, उनका आश्रय, भगवान की मूर्ति. This is new. Everything else is not new. Having children and running the household and working somewhere and rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, eating, drinking, defecating and urinating and doing all these things that we're doing every day. There's nothing new in that. What's new in that? Every animal is doing that. Are we just an animal? That's it? No, we have a human body. We have the ability, the capacity, the possibility of realizing the Brahman. And that is the whole point of this Upanishad. That is the whole point of the mantra that is given, like by Pujya Mahan Swamiji in the BAPS organization. Aksharam aham Purushottama dasosmi. Brahmoham Krishna dasosmi. That I am who? I am Brahman. This is ये सब शास्त्रों का सार है. Bhagavad Gita says, Brahma Bhutaha Prasannatma na shochiti na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mata bhaktim labhate param. That bhakti that we want to realize towards Bhagavan, that is possible in the Brahmic state. Brahma Bhutaha Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. What does that mean? It's not running, it's not disturbed. We're living in the world with everybody with love. Sarva bhuta hitera. I've mentioned it before, but be careful. If we have set the destination for the highest, we cannot get stuck with anybody in the world. Not with anybody, not with any person, not with anything, not with any situation, because the whole sansar is like a dream. Swapna tulya cha. Just as we have a dream at nighttime for a few hours, this 80-year-old life, 90 years of whatever years we're going to live, that is a longer dream. That's all. But to awaken from that, that is called Turiya Avastha, that is called Brahma Sthiti, that is called Akshara Sthiti, that is called living liberation. And when a person is fully awakened, my God, ये जीवन का अंतिम लक्ष्य है, ये जीवन की सिद्धि है. बाकी काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मत्सर, राग, द्वेष, अहम, ममत्व, इसका तो कोई अंत नहीं है. There is no end. Nobody is ever satisfied with any of these things. कभी भी satisfaction आता ही नहीं है. Why is that? It doesn't come because that is not ananda. That is just a stimulation. Even if you get a big position, it happens in religious organizations. Somebody builds a big religious organization. They have thousands and thousands of people running around them. You can get trapped in that also. Maybe that's good. That's fine. As a seva, it's okay. It's possible to get stuck anywhere. One final example, I know I went over a little time here. One final example. There's an example of that is given, where two kings, they left the kingdom completely. I think it's Raja Bajand or something. There's two. I don't remember the names right now. They both left the kingdom. They were very wealthy and had lots of. They said, "Unko vairagya ho gaya. Chhod do sab kuch." So they left the kingdom. See how this works. They left the kingdom. Then they're going into different ashrams, different holy places, and then they had some kind of some type of a wooden vessel that they would carry, for drinking water and for eating and whatnot. And they have to hang it up in some one place. And there was only one place to put that. So both of those kings who had become sannyasis then started getting into an argument about that one place where to put. They got so attached to that one small thing. Then they realized after 10 minutes of argument, my God, you are that king, you are that king. Then they both realized that even though we left the kingdom, we don't have vairagya. We're still attached to even these small things in the sannyas ashram. Abhi vairagya hua hi nahi. Just because you leave the sansar and run away somewhere and go away, does that mean that is vairagya? Of course not. Of course not. Vairagya is not running away somewhere. Vairagya is realizing that state of the Atman beyond raga, dvesha, aham, mamatva, exactly where you are. Exactly. It's not running away from the home. It is to change the vision of the home. That in the home, with the family, with the friends, with everybody else, there is only love. There is affection. There is non-attachment, non-entanglement, all simultaneously. That is the Jnana and Bhakti and Vairagya combined together inside the present moment. This is why J. Krishnamurti said beautifully, enlightenment is where you are. Kitni amazing, kya amazing purush ho gaye wo. But unki baat alag hai. Chodo. I mean, that is a whole different matter. Let's stop here for now. Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murti Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mokshamulam Gurur Kripa Om Tameva Mata Chapita Tameva Bandusha Saka Tameva Vidya Dravinam Tameva Sarvam Mamadeva Om Divilingaya Namaha Urdhvalingaya Namaha Anandalingaya Namaha Dvadash Jyotirlingaya Namo Namaha Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swa Om Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu Om Shri Radha Krishnar Panamastu Om Rim Swaha.